Welcome to the Proshot podcast. I'm Alex Fordedal. Alongside me is Tomas Zubrus, and we are continuing our series of interviews with some of the top prospects for the upcoming 2021 OHL Priority selection. Today, we are thrilled to be chatting with former Oakville Ranger defenseman Jacob Crisp. Jacob, thank you so much for coming on, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on the podcast, and I'm ready to get the meeting started.
All right, Jacob, I'm going to ask you. Everyone has their own story of what inspires them to get into hockey. What's yours? Like, who or what inspired you to get into the game?
Yeah, growing up, I played a bunch of different sports. I played, soccer, football, baseball, but my mom grew up in the Sioux, and they were big Sioux Greyhounds fans. So they had season tickets and went to the games. And actually, my mom's neighbor was Ronnie Francis, and obviously Ronnie Francis played, a lot of years in the NHL. Was an awesome player, and I think just from her kind of having that experience, going to Sioux Greyhounds games growing up. She got me into the game of hockey at a young age, and I think I just fell in love with the game of hockey, and then obviously developed into a pretty good player over the years. And I think just finding that love and passion for the game has definitely been, a big part of my life and something that I'm looking forward to continue.
That's a great story, man. And honestly, what a name drop. Ron Francis, huh? GM of the Seattle Kraken. What a name drop. But honestly, you know what? What a way to get into hockey. My next question for you is about your game. When it comes to your game, are you a two-way defender, an offensive defenseman? Talk to me about your game in your own words. How would you describe it?
I definitely think I'm a two-way defender. Over this past year, I've taken a big chunk of my time working on my defensive game, one-on-one coverage, and also in-zone coverage. Obviously, the bigger part of my game is probably my offensive skill, my skating ability. I love using my speed and edge work to my advantage all over the ice, escaping from defenders and then making plays up the ice to, provide opportunities for my teammates to score. And I think, I bring a toughness mentality to the game where I don't like to back down. I like to outwork and outcompete, the guy across from me. And I think I bring good leadership to any team I play on, being vocal leader. I take pride in understanding, systems and plays to help other guys out on the ice. And, I feel like I'm a guy that anyone would love to have on their team.
Now, Jacob, you're mentioning how your game is and everything, but is there a specific player you try to model your game after in the National Hockey League?
Torrey Krug from St. Louis Blues. Obviously, we're both, considered a bit undersized, but, what he brings to the game is similar to what I bring to the game. And, he's not, afraid of anybody. He's not going to back down. And I think, he has that skill set to make plays all over the ice. And, he's a great leader on the ice, vocal. And I think it's something that stands out in his game. He's a trustworthy guy on the back end that any team can rely on. And I kind of pride myself on those things as well, being a reliable guy.
Torrey Krug, absolutely, man. One of the best defensemen in the league, definitely a pure offensive guy. But like you said, he's a real 200-foot player making plays on both ends of the ice. So you know what? That's a pretty cool comparison. You brought up your offense, and you say you pride yourself on your offensive abilities. Would you say that's your best attribute on the ice, or if not, what is your best attribute? Would you say?
Yeah, I would say definitely, my skating is probably one of my best attributes. Like I said, being a fast skater and having good edge work is definitely, a big part of my game. It helps me succeed on the ice. But, also my offensive skills, puck handling, and passing ability and vision. I think my vision and hockey IQ helps me make some pretty outstanding plays on the ice and provide scoring chances for my teammates. Definitely my offensive side of my game is, the more impactful part of my game that has bigger impacts during games.
You're mentioning all of this about your attributes and everything, but is there anything that you plan on working on during this summer heading into your first potential OHL season?
Yeah, obviously, going to be competing with older, bigger guys, stronger guys. I've had the privilege to do skates with Matt Turek through the course of this year, competing against OHL guys. It's definitely kind of opened my eyes and given me that opportunity to compete against older guys. And, you realize there's different things in your games that you got to tweak to be able to compete with those guys. And going into this summer, like I mentioned earlier, over the course of this year, I looked at and worked on improving my one-on-one coverage and D-zone coverage. Going into this summer, I'll continue to work on, improving that part of my game, and then also excelling on my offensive game as well.
Oh, an answer, man. I know you're gonna be working pretty hard.
Absolutely. And if any minor midget hockey fan would know, you came from the Oakville Rangers, and you guys were one of, if not the most talented minor midget teams in Ontario during the 1920 season, with teammates such as Connor Thacker, Callum Ricci, Owen Outwater, all those guys like you are eligible for the 2021 OHL Priority selection. And the list goes on, man. My question for you, and this is actually a two-part question, but my first question for you here is, what have you learned with the Oakville Rangers that you are going to take with you into the next level at the OHL?
Yeah, obviously, like you mentioned, competing against all those guys in practices like, Cal Ritchie, Nick Lardis, Owen Outwater, Luke Meese, Connor Thacker, Bronson Ride, Matthew Soto. Those are some of the top guys in this age group, and they're expected to go high in this draft this upcoming Friday. So I think just having the opportunity to compete against those guys in practices definitely makes you, realize that those guys are good guys, and those are the guys that you're going to be competing against at the next level. And obviously, like I said, having the opportunity to compete against those guys in the practices has definitely helped me improve my game, and also realize that, those are the guys that you're going to be competing against at the next level all the time, right? So just having that realization that, with the next level, there's going to be guys like that, across every team is definitely eye-opening, is something I look forward to.
And that right there has to absolutely be pretty cool, knowing that at least when it comes to the impact of your minor midget hockey career, like again, like that team that right there, full of a group of, full of a lot of talented guys. It must be pretty cool going into this draft knowing a lot of your teammates are going to be picked up, possibly, even in the first round, right? That must be pretty cool to think about, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I've been with the Oakville Rangers for 10 years. There's been a core group of us that, are expected to go pretty high in this draft. And I think, just seeing, your buddies go high in the draft to go to teams, and, recognize that you're going to possibly play against them in the OHL is going to be, exciting and really cool. And I mean, like I said, getting to compete against those guys in practices was awesome. And I just wish for the best for all those guys at the next level.
All right, Jacob, my last question for you. Is there, obviously, I know it's a very exciting week, very maybe even a little bit of a nerve-wracking time for you, but what is the most exciting thing for you heading into Friday's draft? Like, are you counting down the days? Are you a little nervous, excited?
Yeah, obviously, it's an exciting point in your hockey career, and I'm looking forward to the next chapter. And, come this Friday or possibly Saturday, I'm just hoping a team's going to take me that, wants my services and is willing to help me develop into an even better hockey player. And, also, like I mentioned just before, seeing my teammates go to teams is also going to be very exciting. And obviously, it's a little bit nerve-wracking not knowing where you're going. But I think, once you get drafted, it's going to be kind of like, a set of relief and excitement at the same time. So, yeah.
And hopefully wherever you go, OHL fans of whatever organization you go to will hopefully find this interview and be able to get to know you more, of course. And my final question for you here today, Matt, it kind of treads the waters of that. It's a very OHL fan oriented question, but I think it's a pretty fair question. If there's one thing OHL fans should know about you, what would that be?
I would say hard worker. Obviously, my skill part of my game is definitely something that stands out, but, I think the behind the scenes stuff is definitely the most important going to the next level. And I think one thing they should know is that I'm a competitor, and I'm there to work and get better and develop into a player that can, provide a lot of things for an OHL team and OHL organization. And, like I said, behind the scenes is definitely something that I take a lot of pride in. And I think is definitely the most important part of any, athlete's game and success on the ice. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to working hard off the ice, working out, doing skills training, and, hoping to have a good year in the OHL next year.
Absolutely, man. Jacob, thank you so much for coming on today, man. And I know me and Thomas, we absolutely appreciate your time, man. And hopefully we can talk to you again once you're an official member of an OHL team.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Look forward to having another conversation after the draft. It'd be amazing.
Absolutely, man. Be on the lookout for Jacob in the 2021 OHL Priority selection when rounds 1 to 3 start on Saturday, June 4th at 7 p.m. Eastern time, I believe. You can check it out on the OHL's YouTube channel. In the meantime, until then, feel free to check out the official Proshot podcast channel where you could find other OHL draft interviews featuring players such as Mitchell Brooks, Chris Barlas, Luke McNamara. The list goes on. We're staying busy. But in the meantime, again, from me, Thomas, and Jacob, thank you so much for listening. Stay safe and have